Hello and welcome to my channel. My name's Peter Abraham. I'm a second career registered nurse, primarily focused in advanced illness, those that would qualify for either palliative care or hospice care. Those are two separate services. I'm also a certified end-of-life doula through the International Doula Life Movement and an end-of-life educator, avid writer, and avid book author. If you're new to this channel, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to visit. In this channel, we talk about issues related to death and dying. After all, we are all going to die. Wouldn't it be best if we understood what that process looks like? Wouldn't it be best if we started planning for how we want to die? I'm not talking suicide. I'm not talking taking your own life. I'm talking above and beyond. Let me get my funeral plans. I'm talking a living will for when you can't speak for yourself. That does happen as part of the dying process. I'm talking about powers of attorney, both medical and financial, because there are times that comes into play. And that comes into too. Do you understand that most of the time we die in our sleep? People ask for it. That's how we die the majority of the time. So if these are topics of interest to you, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell notification below, and like the video. It does really help get the message out that I'm trying to get out to others, that you don't need to fear death. We can talk about it openly as a society, and we can plan for how we want to go out when our time comes. The topic for today's video is going to be another perplexity topic. I'm also involving Canva, but I actually started this and I'm like, whoa, wait a moment. Don't stop what I'm doing. I should make a video about this because I want to help others. This is being filmed on Friday, September 19, 2025. It will be published probably in very early October unless things change. So not too far ahead. And I have other videos on Perplexity AI as well as Canva. But I wanted to get into, like, what am I thinking when I'm recommending to others, get out there in your community. Somebody just posted yesterday, Thursday, September 18th. I'm new to this doula business. Where do I start? Where do I start? So I've been sharing my journey here. For those who've been watching my channel, my hospice and palliative care nursing experience. I've been a nurse for 9 years, 6 of it hospice and palliative care. All of those 6 are in Pennsylvania for right now. I am currently living in Madison County, Kentucky. My wife and I moved here late last year, and it's been a wonderful experience for the most part. Those of you watching know that my pet peeve, like if you really have a nursing shortage, do you really want to have 12-hour shifts or flexible? But that's its own story. Uh, but I commonly tell others who are new to this field, because I've been doing my end-of-life doula business remotely for 2 years now, but I'm brand new to Madison County, Kentucky. And if I stayed in Pennsylvania, because my business even then was remote, I didn't have any York County clients. They were remote, India, England, all these other places. But if you want to operate in your community, I'd be doing what I'm recommending. And I wanted to shed light. How do I come up with ideas? What do you present, etc.? So before we go into the topic of today's video, I want to ask you, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? Feel free to comment if you want to share, but you don't have to. This is a non-judgmental channel, but if you want to keep it to yourself. I believe that in order to handle everything that life throws at us, and I use that as a euphemism, it's not like somebody's necessarily throwing stuff at us, but when we go through the different losses of people that we barely knew, but they maybe meant something to us, losses of our pets, and I view pets as family members. And Ted, I'm thinking of you because you're going to be naming those chickens. One of my good friends here in Texas, Ted and Susan, and their adult son Jeremiah live in the area. And not that their other children are too far away. Not that I've not met. I've only met Jeremiah, but they have chickens, so we're trying to really encourage Ted to start naming his chickens so they don't eat the chickens later. But I find that when different things happen in your life that just push you to the floor, the best way to be able to get up and get moving again is to build resilience. We all have a level of it. I believe we all have a level of us when we're born, but I also believe that that's something that we can. Um, Give me one moment here. Sorry about that. Um, Scammer calls. I believe that we can build resilience. And I believe there are three pillars. We focus on the third one here. If you're curious on the other two, ask below. But what are you grateful for? So I'm grateful for Ted and Susan that I mentioned. We were just over there. Uh, they are a beautiful family. Most of the families here in Kentucky have been beautiful towards us, but some really stand out. And they've been over for lunch at our house. We've had meals together at different places, and they recently got a chicken coop and then a chicken tractor to keep them raise the chicks. And I'm just so grateful. So Ted, if you're watching this, Susan, I don't have enough words of appreciation for all of you. I appreciate all those who have been buying and reading my books. Keith, who I've become friends with, and I use that term loosely because when we say friends on social media, we barely know them. And so I'm just being transparent. He reached out on LinkedIn saying that he got my hospice conditions of participation COP book, and he has a couple of my other books. So thank you, Keith, and asked me to keep him in prayer, which I have been, as he's getting back into the field of hospice. And he mentioned that if he gets a management role, would we do a joint venture, co-author a book for hospice managers? And I'm very open to projects like that. So I'm grateful for Keith and people like him that have been just really supportive of my journey in life. And I know people will say, thank you for writing the book. And I appreciate that. I do. It means a lot to me. But I also appreciate you for reading my book and letting me know that it blessed you. So getting into the topic for today's video, I mentioned on a previous video, in several, whether you're a brand new doula or you're been out there for a while, how do you build and sustain your business? I cannot emphasize enough for being active in your community. Please, I cannot emphasize that enough. So in terms of my own journey with this, and we'll get into perplexity in a few moments, but I need to give backstory. So Sandy Adams, and Sandy, if you're watching this, thank you so much for what you're doing. Sandy and her husband Bill own Just Love Coffee in Century 21 in Berea, Kentucky. And they have a business brew network. And it's the third Tuesday of every month. And I've been going to that since May. So part of this is get out there in the community and don't give up. This is a long game. We're talking months to years and even beyond. It's a long game. So I've been going, and every time I go, I have business cards with me and I'm handing them out. And I'm also going to other events. I went to a free will clinic on August 18th. I went to a healthcare fair on September 12th. I went to a grant writing by the chamber. I've been to different business luncheons. The overwhelming majority of them, just being transparent with you, I may sometimes I'm told, say what your name is in your business name and stop. Others are your name, your business name, and the shortest version of your elevator pitch. For those of you watching, what does an elevator pitch mean? It's literally a 1 to 2 minute, like consider yourself, you got on the ground floor, you got in an elevator with somebody, and you're going up 1 to 3 floors. And you want to tell them as quickly as possible what you do. You want to focus on, your benefits and to who you benefit. And so sometimes you get that. but by interacting and like I'd get there early, and I'm an introvert, just so that you know, if you're a brand new person watching, I am autistic. On the higher end, it used to be called Asperger's syndrome, and I know the humor that some people have with that pronunciation. Uh, I am an introvert, Myers-Briggs INFJ. I'm a highly sensitive person. I am broken in a number of different ways. And I'm not saying that out of either pride or false humility. I'm just sharing that if I could do this, what's your excuse type of thing. But I would make it a point to try to go early, and I talk to Sandy and the other people putting together whatever, like Donna Angel from the chamber, and I talked to whoever was putting it together. Sometimes I didn't have a lot of words. I'm part of being introvert. I suck at small talk. So it might be just, hi, I'm so glad that you're having this. Well, Sandy asked me on the third Tuesday of October, October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, could I do a 15-minute or less, that's what this name is in here, presentation about what I do and how can I integrate that with breast cancer awareness? So you can see it's simple. It's only 8 slides. I'm not going to take you through the presentation. That's not the purpose of the video. If you're curious, ask in the comments below. I'm not trying to brush you off if you're interested. So I've been practicing it. Uh, I love my wife dearly. I unintentionally drive her crazy because part of I don't know if it's part of my autism or part of like I'm an over compulsive planner. So I've drafted out and I've been doing my March 26th presentation for keynote speaking in South Carolina. I've been doing that for the past several weeks. So over compulsive planning, practice makes perfect type of thing. But as I'm doing this, one of the slides out here, I don't have it memorized, mentions it might be okay. It is here. I want to say lucky. I guess I've been practicing enough that I know. But community education. So this is Canva, by the way. Oh my. Um, no, that's pronounced. So this is Canva, community education. Oops, gotta fix this. Canva bugs. So this is my presentation. Just so that you know, there's not going to be a computer screen. This is for me to memorize. Part of why I've been doing so much practice. Oh my word! I'll do that later. So I'm thinking about this, and then I had it on my to-do list today to look at doing some Etsy stuff. I'm not going to go into details there because it's still a work in process. And when I went to do, let me just bring up Canva so I could show you what the trigger was for me. I went to go do this. Now that's not directly Etsy, by the way, because I am planning on doing a Kentucky Advanced Directive workshop at the Berea Library. Still haven't figured out some things. But it was like it was haunting me that I need to, and we'll come back to perplexity in a moment. I actually need to do a community event because if I'm talking about prevention conversations and I'm talking about this, wouldn't it be best if I actually did some? Um, and I was behind the 8 ball because it's already September 19th and I need to try to get this scheduled and everything else um, by or before uh, October 21st. So here, now let's jump into perplexity. One of the reasons most people know about ChatGPT, one of the reasons I like perplexity is you can make a space. Now, this is the pro version. This is the pro version. I'll put in a link in the description below. I strongly believe this is worth it. Um, I do have my disclaimers. You have to know what you're looking for. You have to double check the material. Any AI, any artificial agent hallucinates. I talked in another video that it has a propensity to tell you what you want to hear. So you have to be very, very careful. So getting back to the space, I created a space, Madison County, Kentucky Life Transition Resource. And I've been using this since January of this year. Not often. These are all my threads, so we're not talking like once a week or so. But in terms of like showing you, let me move my face out of the way. So here you go in and you give it construction instructions. Now, I didn't grow up in Kentucky, so but you could tell the agent. And so I wanted this, and yes, in a way it's pretend, but you're giving it a role model. So you grew up in Kentucky, and you know the local government, the businesses. You're expert at researching. You have real estate that comes in handy, by the way, in terms of knowing where different properties are at. Not necessarily in conducting real estate business. Um, you got your social worker. By the way, you notice I don't have hospice nurse in here. The social worker is going to know more on community resources than most nurses. But I actually give this here. And then this is part of when I talk to people and then when I write, this is me. This is what I strive to achieve. So I am telling the AI, try to be like me in this particular one here. And then you get to give it links and files. Now let me go and show you the links. This will be different for your geographic area. Now for this one, let me just show you that one. That one is from Matthew West, not the singer. He's a triage hospice nurse at UK Health, who blessed me so much. I thank you, Matthew, where he gave me this massive spreadsheet. Now, granted, it's from April, but there's not that many changes that often here in Kentucky. But it allows me to look up that, and then that mine's probably mine. Yeah, this is my own resource list that I've been creating that goes over different places, mainly in Madison County. And so you can give it links to stuff that you've created. And some of the documents, when we get to the files, um, a lot of this is from research that I previously did. So you could you have it do the research and then it'll give you links and files, and then I'll just upload them to the source. I mean, not to the source. I'll upload them. For whatever reason, when I went to file, it was missing some of the files. Yes, I did upload some of my paperback books, just in case, because I wanted it to be able to wrap around in terms of the output. I want it to wrap around so when I'm asking questions, it's using evidence-based practice for some of it, especially with having conversation pieces. And then here, this is some of these are Kentucky census items that came out, different reports from previous ones. Um, and so like here, I did a report for, and we're going to get into a moment for what I'm going to do for the Hospice Care Plus. But how many people in Kentucky have a living will? And I was looking for Madison County, but this is where 9%. And I've done other homework to know that the United States at large is under 40%. So getting back to, and this is going to be a live walkthrough. So I started doing this, and it's like, I should do a video about this. So in order to do a community presentation about breast cancer awareness and prevention in Madison County, and I do have to watch the time. So this is not going to be, let's do this to the completion of the presentation, just for full disclosure. I just want to show you the fact gathering, the data collection stage, and then maybe in another video, here's how I took all of that and put it together in terms of handouts and a Canva presentation, because I usually do my presentations in Canva. So I need your help to create, these are the prompt, an overview of a mid-level. I need an overview. Uh, this is, sorry, Grammarly again. Overview level. Let me reword. So bird's eye view to a mid-level deep dive into new cancer diagnosis. I'm going to get into the breast cancer as part of this. Oh my word. By biological gender. Um, I know there's a group of ideology out there, but when you talk about healthcare symptoms, it's biologic based. It's genetics and biology. It's not other things. and age for people living in the following counties compared to Kentucky at large. So Madison County is surrounded by several counties. Part of my weirdness is I do like alphabetical, so if you look up Wikipedia and other sources, they'll give you the surrounding counties or locations, not often in alphabetical order. So here I am repeating the alphabet to myself to get it in this. And by the way, when I'm putting this in, it was like, duh, I should start making a video. So, and then as part of this, I'm just going on. Let me just, so in addition to the above, I need you to list the top. Now this is where it gets important because I don't know what the top 10 is. So I don't know in advance. So I need to tell it. Okay, Grammarly. Okay, so we're doing that. By the way, in here, I'm using the lab because that does an extremely deep dive as part of the process. And then in here, I set the sources to web, academic. In this case, I'm going to turn, well, social could be good or bad. Social is like Reddit, which that's its own story. That would be too big of a rabbit trail for me to discuss Reddit. But Reddit, Facebook, Quora, and other social media discussion groups. Um, Give me 1 second here. For the output, please include. Okay. Uh, Sorry. Grammarly love-hate relationship. Okay. So just double checking what I want. And so just to give you an idea for what I'm thinking, because the hard part, like here, I'm putting this all together. Peter, what's your expectations? What are you hoping? So if I'm going to be doing a community presentation about breast cancer, I need to have enough evidence that I am a trusted source. Now, from a point of view, I'm a hospice and palliative care nurse, so I have information on the tail end, the death end, being very blunt. But I have not worked in oncology. I certainly don't know remission statistics. I know those who have, told me their stories, anecdotal. So I need enough information that if I'm going to be out there in community in order to look the part, and I'm being blunt, fake it until you make it. You need to look the part. I need to gather the information. So if I'm doing a presentation, and the people coming to the presentation will be Madison County, but Madison County surrounded by several, and all of those several, some of them are close enough that they'd make the journey, depending on the date and time of the workshop presentation. So I need to do information gathering. I need to know how many people have it in like to give you an example, if it were to show Madison County is larger compared to Kentucky at large, then I'd need to dig deeper. Is there something environmentally? So what's making Madison County have more cases or even less cases? So I'm just starting the deep dive. And then part of this thought process too, and this won't be part of this video, but I'm probably going to be doing a deep dive into help me prepare handouts for looking at breast cancer prevention. And I will tell it just so that you know this is part of creating good prompts. I'm not going to just tell me about prevention. Stop. I'm not saying you can't do that, but I'm going to be looking at multifactorial. Tell me about prevention measures, including nutrition. Let me backpedal. Breast cancer prevention methods, including lifestyle changes that include nutrition, awareness of medications, including medications that they might be taking that increase their risk. And just so that you're aware, because I like being transparent, I will be telling the crowd in October my experience with the mRNA, and I'll stop there because of YouTube, any of their algorithms. My experience and doctors telling me it's the injectable products that rapid rise of cancers. So that's part of prevention. Don't get the stuff that's going to increase your risk. It's not worth it. There are multiple groups, by the way, providing plenty of evidence that the disease is actually better than the alleged prevention that actually they admit doesn't prevent anymore. They're finally telling people. We've been telling people for most of my life, I've been told it prevents. No, we're being told now. It just lessens your risk of hospitalization. Do I even believe that now? That's its own rabbit trail. But my goal here is just give me preliminary information on this topic. And then from there, I'm going to be looking at how do I get this to translate into a presentation? What do I include in what logical order so that I'm doing community presentation to raise awareness about breast cancer? And that's, by the way, if one of you is questioning, am I going to be doing this to sell my doula business? Not directly. Not directly. The focus of what I'm trying to create with all of this is going to be a free community presentation where at the tail end is if you need somebody to walk you through this journey, I'm that person. So that end, yes, but the overwhelming amount of whatever slides I come up with, whatever handouts I come up with, are going to be individual, family, caregiver focused because it's about them. And my hope is by doing that, I build the story that this person knows what they're talking about. They could be a trusted resource. So I'm going to just stick with that for a moment. By the way, with the labs for the pro version, get 50 queries a month. I don't use this often because I do my best to try to think for myself. I'm not saying, I want to be clear, I'm not saying if you use AI, you're not thinking for yourself because I think it takes a lot to put a good prompt together. But I do believe that we have to be out there talking, and you shouldn't be, what AI, what do I need to say to this person? So I'm going to go here and just say, and we just do one final check, new cancer diagnoses, in addition to the above, breast cancer, life expectancy, again, breast cancer. And let's see how it goes. Now, just so you know, it's saying, what it's doing. This is part of why I like labs. It's saying that this might take, and it'll adjust the time, and it's going through all the different files, including academic resources, gathering the statistics. Now, granted, this is overseas. Um, Back down to 3 minutes. I appreciate your patience. I'm not going to do one of those. I'll come back, and this way you get to see how it goes through the entire thing. Now it's doing some programming. By the way, I've never hit skip the remaining steps. I think that would give you bad outcomes, personally. Granted, if you were seeing something like, gee, that is really wrong, then stop, but otherwise. By the way, it does have a stop button here, which if you ever hit can take several minutes. Yes, I've had to stop when it's like you are going in such the wrong direction. Again, I'm not going to say I know what to expect from the output here, but there's other times it's like, I shouldn't say by, but um, that output is just plain wrong. Um, Let me correct you because I'm the expert in hospice and palliative care. Um, I've had to say, tell the family to call 911, and I'm like, call hospice first. How many times do I have to tell you? So it's creating charts as part of this. I don't know how many of you, I don't watch sports, but I still remember being with different family members and they're watching, I think it's football, the 2 minutes remaining and a half hour later. And it's like, and it's the autism in me, like that, they can't tell time. That wasn't 2 minutes. And while we're waiting, I, if you're an end-of-life doula watching this, I do believe in staying up to speed with different topics. Sometimes you can get that from LinkedIn. I'm almost tempted to go to a different screen to show you something. It'll be back here, but I'd rather let you see the steps that it's going through. But the pro version, when you go into your account, which I'm not going to click, you have the ability to create tasks. And those tasks are do this research every day or every other day or only on Fridays and run this at a specific time. So every day I have, here's new topics in hospice and palliative care. Here's new topics in the end-of-life doula space. And also once a week, I do have it search for my name because you don't know if somebody is impersonating or otherwise saying bad things, or maybe they're promoting you. So I really enjoy that from Perplexity. Now it's creating another, yeah, that's by incident, right? Now we're down to 2 minutes. It's again like football. And just to let you know in advance when it's done, because we're doing this a lot, like it's recorded, but it's live. Um, I'll go from then as to what further would I be querying just to get the data to be able to feed into a different prompt. The whole part of this, let me gather information that I could either download into a PDF file, do a screenshot as a PNG file, maybe copy and paste And I shared with you on the Macintosh, I have to copy and paste into an intermediary source. I use WordPress and then copy from there to Word. Otherwise, Microsoft Word for Mac does weird formatting. But I'll create a set of one or more documents that I can then feed into the prompt that I'll be using to help me create the presentation slides in a logical order. And then maybe in the same, once I get the presentation done and the documents that I downloaded, feed all of that together, because you could build upon what you had to do. You could build upon what you had to do. So I could take what they gave here, feed that into itself, so to speak. I wouldn't use the lab. I'd use the regular Pro and say, make me the slides, and it wouldn't be as simple as that because I'd have to give it direction as to like this is going to be an hour-long presentation. I'm going to be speaking for 45 minutes. I need slides that would be logical order for 45 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And feed that in. And then once I get that and I go through and you go back and forth, you're creating the slides and you find something was wrong or didn't make sense, or you're practicing and now it doesn't make sense. You go back, but towards the end, then you're saying, okay, here's this input that you got and you saved, and here's my presentation that you downloaded from Canva, and you're uploading that into a new prompt saying I now need 1 to 4 handouts, and you give it parameters and then you get your handouts. So this is giving, and these are the primary sources. So overall, it was 144 sources. 144 sources, that's right here. But these are the top 4. So that you're aware, sometimes in the top 4, it can have something that's like, really? And the really may not be, it may be actually completely wrong. At first glance, this looks, except for this, California, California, not sure, but it does have Kentucky here. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Sometimes I think I have a form of dyslexia. I didn't read the entire last part, so I apologize for that. But cancer diagnoses. So here, overall in cancer, wow, I didn't know this going in, but look at breast cancer. And so lung cancer is worse in Kentucky. Overall cancer rate. And then we have here the Kentucky State All Cancers, late breast, Madison County. So couldn't fit in, okay, couldn't fit in all the counties, by the way, if you haven't noticed that. But I'm glad that it did include Madison because that's my primary target market. I may end up, just so you know, this is part of the back and forth. Based on this, I may say I need you to leave out US because I do have the US now. And I need you to leave Kentucky out at large and then just focus on the counties. Don't know yet. I may not go that far because I believe between this 3 right here, ooh, black males. That's not a good thing. Um, I'll have to do a deeper dive as to black males all cancer versus black males breast cancer. Um, then we have the top 10. Look at female breast. I didn't know this was going to be the case, but that's the topic of the community presentation. So I can include something like this when I do the Canva. I'm tempted to say PowerPoint because for many years for me it was PowerPoint. Top 10 list. Wow. I did not expect breast to be that high. I was actually expecting lung to be on the top. Madison County, Clark. Okay, they didn't have enough data for those. And then I'm glad it did. Okay, cancer survival, this is good. Okay, it's good for that. This is helpful. So I can say that, but no one can, as far as I know, no one can read minds. I'm saying this is helpful from the perspective I represent myself as a life transition support guide or life transition coach for short. I believe end-of-life doulas, aka death doulas, that it's best if we work with individuals from 18 on up. Now, as I share that, you do your business, I do my business. I'm not trying to judge or tell you what to do, but I believe that if we expand our reach by being comfortable with helping the 18-year-old, the 20-year-old, the 30-year-old, and so on, when they get different diagnoses and different transitions, we could be more involved and we're more likely to help at the end if we're involved at the beginning, early on. So because there's a higher survival rate, we could be saying, if you get a breast cancer diagnosis, we could be a point of contact for you. We could be an educational resource, a referral resource to help you get help. There's so many different avenues that we can be connected to this. Now, if it had a death rate, that's also, I'm not saying we want that, but that's also good too, because we'd say, hey, we're going to be your death toll at that point. But high survival rate's actually a good thing from a standpoint. And this, by the way, is good because before we moved to Kentucky, part of the research I was doing, because I'm the geek and the nerd, is lung cancer rate. We only moved late 24, was higher at the time. Cancer survival patterns, prognosis, population standpoints. This, I am happy, very happy with this results. So let me just come up here just to give some last words. I do, first off, I want to thank you for your time. I know I tend to have long videos compared to a number of people out there. Hopefully you're finding them helpful, giving you like brainstorming, so to speak, without us necessarily talking. And just put a highlight on that. Over the years, I've had different people reach out to me to brainstorm. That's okay. Rarely does it come up that I charge because most of the time it's a half hour, an hour. And I don't mind. I look at it as collaboration. I help you. There's going to be a time where you have something that I can't do, and you could help me. We're in this together. Let's collaborate and help one another. It's this week, but when you see this, it'll be a week or two ago. I put out a video I'm not saying everybody who watches is a follower of Christ Jesus, but my video was like, how should followers of Christ Jesus respond in the wake of the brutal assassination for Christian values of Charlie Kirk? And I said, I was talking about genuine inclusivity because there are a lot of groups out there that'll say, we're inclusive, but if you don't fit their mold, they toss you out as if you're, I don't even know what words to use. That's exclusion. So I don't want to go down the rabbit trail. I'm sorry if I even went too far there, but I don't mind brainstorming with people. Ask questions. So what we're accomplishing here is you're either a new end-of-life doula or end-of-life professional. You're thinking about going in this, and you may have watched a previous video, and I mentioned that we're self-pay. I'm sliding scale. And you're like, how do I get business? And you get out there in the community. Well, you need to, well, what do I talk about? Well, I had posted in a previous episode, there's a lady who did a wonderful presentation, and they filmed it. It's on YouTube, where she did what is an end-of-life doula, the history of the doula movement, and when should you involve a doula in your life. Three things. Her entire presentation was 15 minutes. The entire event did last an hour because people, she was blessed. She had news media. Uh, she started out in a room of 12 and they quickly had to go to another room. They had close to, I think it was 75 or more showed up. That doesn't happen all the time. Just putting out there for the disclaimer, that doesn't happen all the time. I shared in a previous video, I did a community presentation, one person showed up, for which I'm happy for. I'm grateful for. But I also consulted with several people as to what did I do wrong. And it was like, number one, Wednesday, that's a church going day here in Berea. And even though the evening would have been worse, probably getting nobody, but try to have it in an evening, not a Wednesday, and not during any Sunday church hours, and which are multiple, 9, 11, 3 p.m., depending on the different churches in the area. So that's a topic. What is an end-of-life doula? The history of the movement. When would you have one? I did one on, which I'll probably do again once I get through Breast Cancer Awareness Month. What is an end-of-life doula? The circles of healthcare, acute care, long-term care, rehab, managing illness at home, looking at community living options. How do we work through the entire thing? And you could do that. Or like here, October is Breast Cancer Awareness. And I shouldn't say I apologize because anyway, I miss thinking about this for suicide awareness, but next year maybe. But we have all these different months or weeks that are dedicated to a specific thing going on. It could be Alzheimer awareness, dementia awareness, breast cancer awareness, and so on and so forth. So you pick a topic, you do your research. I really enjoy Perplexity, mainly because again, because what I'm going to do here, just so that you're aware, I'm going to end up turning this into a PDF. So I'm going to save all the data, and then I'm going to put it I'm going to put it in here under the. So why did it? Oh, that was the living room. I'm going to put it in here in the file section. So anytime I do further research, it's already there. And so that's one of the benefits of using Perplexity Pro. So you could say, okay, I want to do a presentation on XYZ topic. And even if you're not an expert per se, and now in best case, I want to give full disclosure, I like being transparent. If it wasn't September 19th, if this was back in August or July, I would be doing my best to reach out to oncology nurses. I love my fellow nurses, not that an oncology doctor would be a bad choice, but I'd be going to my oncology nurses and my anyone who has healthcare knowledge of breast cancer. Teach me, let me be your Padawan. Teach me everything you know. And I'm not making fun of this, but I say, give me the short take, give me the 15 minutes on prevention. And I'd be doing that with multiple people, multiple people. Give me the short take. And I'm taking notes. And those notes will be long term because I'm building my knowledge base, I'm building my resource base, and I'd be making connections. And under the best circumstances, and I'm telling you, this is a failure point for me for right now for this particular topic. In the best case, I'd be looking at Madison County and saying, could I get a oncology nurse or doctor or palliative care nurse or doctor? I might try Matthew at UK Health. Not sure. He's a busy man. That part I know, which is why I'm beyond grateful that he sent me the spreadsheet. But get somebody. Do you want to do this with me? Just putting it out there. And if I'm currently working on, and we're coming down to the close, if you're watching this, is he going to go on forever? If I am in the infancy of a relationship with a brand new end-of-life doula in Lexington, Fayette County, if I was further along with that relationship, we talked once, that's how infancy it is. If I was further along, I'd be inviting her, do you want to join me in this? And when it comes to when I go and find out dates, I may end up inviting her anyway, just a tag team if she's interested. But I need to build the meat of this before I were to go that far because I have to understand more. Just so that you're aware, I'm trying to share with you my thought process. And as I bring up a biblical reference, I'm not trying to proselytize you. But Jesus in his parables and others have talked about If you're going to go to war with somebody, shouldn't you count like how much resources you have? What do they have? What do you have? How many miles in between? Maybe you ought to be negotiating something versus whatever. So I need to get a solid base for what my presentation is going to look like, what the actual, how's it going to flow, and then I can say, do I have enough time to invite, what direction it's going to go. I'm just sharing with you the mistakes that, had I thought about this sooner, I would have did an outreach. LinkedIn, Facebook, there are several social media groups that focused in Madison County. How many of you deal with oncology? How many of you have expertise not in breast cancer? And I probably would seek a very small handful of breast cancer survivors just to get their stories to throw in. So now coming down to the landing zone, the true landing zone. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to watch my video. I can't. I can't thank you enough for your support, whether it's watching this video, whether it's subscribing, whether it's liking, whether it's buying the books, or maybe you're reading my articles on compassioncrossing.info. Yes, I'm doing this to try to bless you and brainstorm for you, or I shouldn't say not brainstorm for you, brainstorm with you, give you ideas, give you the spark, so to speak, or one of them. I don't claim to be the only one of anything, other than I'm the only one of me. But you're a blessing in return. You're a blessing in return. And so I'm thankful for that. And this is where I'm going to end. I thank you. Take care, and God bless.